Welcome to Picks and Bones. This week, I sat down with Dallas Moore. He is one of the originators of bringing outlaw country back to music. This man plays all over the country, and you get references to Red Dirt, just good old school honky tonk, and just having a good time, you can't not love a song title that's Raising Hell and Slinging Gravel. And you tell that by the passion in his, songs and his lyrics. But also we had the opportunity to talk about how becoming a dad has changed his music. So please get out there, listen to this, go out there, search him. He's on everywhere you can find music. Look up Dallas Moore. Such an amazing guy, good person to talk to. Now, we'll get into Civilized Creatures Entertainment Network. I am a proud member of this network. We've got some amazing shows, but this week's creature feature is Cinemondo. So you need to make sure you go out and listen to them, find them. They talk cinema, horror, you name it. It's just good stuff. Very well-produced show. And you might learn some things you didn't know if that's kind of your bag. Make sure to check out Married AF, Drinks with Larry, The Untrained Eye, Welcome to My Show, and The Bear Cave with the podfather himself, John McInnes. You guys will not be disappointed. If you like podcasts at all, we cover just about every genre you'd want. And wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, BioBidet. Put the green and clean, folks. Go out there, visit their website, look in the links. You'll be able to get the link to their website and the discount code. Use the code BONES at checkout. Save yourself 10%. Seriously, this has been a game changer. Having one of these has been a game changer in my household. And there's a lot of things you want to live without and you can live without. But once you ever have a bidet, you would never want to live without it again. Now, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining, and enjoy this interview with Dallas Moore.
Rolling hard on I-10 out of Phoenix. Smell that sweet perfume of desert rain. A few more hours and I'll make California. Walk the streets of Bakersfield again. Kentucky seems so far away this evening. I go back with each shot of Jim Beam. Now I'll probably go to sleep in Texas. That's where I go when I drift off to dream. Home is where the highway is, the only road I've ever known. Home is where the highway is, live the highway and take me home.
Welcome to Picks and Bones, everybody. I'm your host, Eric. Tonight, we are sitting down with the honky-tonk man himself, Dallas Moore. And if you guys, I know if you know anything about outlaw country, you know who I'm talking about. Dallas, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, how you doing there, cuz?
Man, doing great. Man, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I've introduced a lot of people to your music that hadn't quite made it that far into the proper genre,
Right.
if you will, because I know, with the state of country music anymore, there's so many people that you ain't bubble gum. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And, how'd you get your start in music? I know that's something I always like to ask everybody.
Well, my mom, she got me my first guitar when I turned 16. When I turned 16, it's Christmas of the year that I turned 16 years old. And I learned the first three chords, wrote my first song, and learned a couple Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson songs way back then, and away it went.
I hear
Up
you.
until that time, I had never, pursue anything with music at all. She bought me a guitar to kind of maybe try to help me keep me out of trouble.
Isn't it funny how that goes?
For her, but
Yeah, same thing happened to me.
But-
My dad bought me a guitar when I was younger, and he's like, "Oh, this will give you something to do." And next thing he knows, I'm up, singing in a metal band at 15 years old, and he goes, "Well, that backfired."
Yeah. Up until then, I always played sports. I played baseball and football, and I did a bit of boxing and whatnot. And then I got the guitar, and like I say, it kind of went from there and everything. And I didn't play too much ball after that. I pretty much just dove right into music, and that's all I've ever done ever since. And that was a long time ago.
I know the feeling. I know it all too well. One with the music usually comes the girls too.
Oh yeah.
That's. I mean, come on. Ultimately, that's what gets most of us got most of us into music when we were younger. Is you can impress girls.
Yeah.
Who were your influences? I know you mentioned Waylon and Willie, but who were?
I grew up. My mom actually, she was actually on the Midwestern Hayride back in the early '50s. They were recording it out of historic Herzog studio in Cincinnati. And she was recording there right around the same time that Hank Sr. had come through, and he cut 6 of his biggest sides right there at Herzog. And that was right real close within a year or two of when Hank was there. It was when my mama was there. And so I grew up with her playing. She had all of the old Hank Williams 78 records. She had an old Victrola that she would play around the house, and she had lots of bluegrass and Appalachian music and gospel, and of course Elvis Presley. And,
oh yeah.
All that stuff was like my first, introduction to music, because that's what I heard, around the house growing up. When I got my first guitar, then I started just learning to play, songs by, guys like that I had been exposed to. And of course, the first record that I ever bought with my own money from mowing lawns when I was 5 years old was the Waylon Jennings Greatest Hits album that they were selling on TV during the Dukes of Hazzard commercials.
Man, that's awesome.
And, it was just there was just something about that beat and that sound that was just so powerful to me as a little boy, long before I ever, even got a guitar. This was years before I ever even got a guitar. That was the kind of music that I was drawn to. And then everything really just branched off from that. I ended up going to Northern Kentucky University when I graduated high school on a jazz and classical guitar scholarship.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of folks I've always thought that was kind of a strange combination, but really it was not, because after I got into a lot of Willie Nelson music, I always loved Willie's guitar playing, and I started seeing interviews where he was talking about a cat named Django Reinhardt, who was a gypsy jazz guitarist, and how that's where he got his biggest influence for his style, and also through Waylon and Willie and stuff. And that I just started diving into what were their influences, and I did that all across the board, so from there it led me to like Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. And then when I was going to Northern Kentucky University, I was playing jazz in the big band, and I started realizing that the stuff that Benny Goodman and them cats were playing wasn't too far off what Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys was doing. It was just different instrumentation,
Yeah.
And, a lot of it, and I just really dove into just soaking up all of the different, styles. And then of course I got heavy into, all the classic Southern rock, and Skinner and the Allman Brothers and Marshall Tucker Band and so on down the line. And it's really dove into all of that. And then that led me back to a lot of old blues music, and it really all just ties in together if you connect the dots. And that's kind of the way I approached it. And eventually, through all that, like I say, as soon as I got a guitar, I learned the first couple, 2 or 3 chords, and wrote my first song. It wasn't a very good song, but it was mine,
Yeah.
And I always just kept trying to improve on that with the songwriting. So I got into, a lot of the great, songwriters, from the past, and then on through our era, and then still into that, today. And I've always just kind of tried to continue to take the influences of those that inspired me, and take their influence and put that with my own ideas, mix everything up, and kind of kick the can a little farther down the road, and that's what I'm still doing after all these years.
Well, and I mean, that's really what you got to do. And, I know listening to your music, you kind of hear all those influences, but you still have a distinct, if one of your songs comes on, I'm like, okay, that's Dallas Moore playing. And because, you have, I mean, you've got that raspy, it's like you were born for honky tonk and outlaw country.
Right. Yeah.
Because
and
it's like,
that's what you strive to have is your own sound, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. If you're identifiable, that's saying something for itself. I certainly ain't the best singer or picker or writer or nothing, but I'm me, and so I keep on seeing what I come up with and throw it out there.
Well, I mean, and you got a new album getting ready to come out, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You got a new album getting ready to come out.
Yes, I do. Yes, this is called "Trying to Be a Blessing," and really, really proud of this album. It's to me, it's the greatest thing I've ever even had a chance to be a part of, and I just can't wait for everybody to get a listen to it. We went into record this one, and I had Dean Miller, who is the son of Roger Miller, the king of the road.
Yeah.
And Dean had came on board and got in touch with me when we worked together for the first time on last year's album, Mr. Honky Tonk. And
great album.
We really hit it off, and we had a great chemistry. And that album really changed a lot of stuff for us and opened us up to a much broader audience, and started kind of creating some more awareness about us on a bigger scale. And then that led to the making of this album. And when we did this album, so much was going on. Both my parents, my mom, Lee, and my dad, Dallas Moore Sr., passed away last year. They were married for 62 and a half years,
oh, wow.
and they passed away 6.5 weeks apart. And so I knew I was going to be dedicating this upcoming album to them.
Well, Mama and Daddy is a great song.
I reached back into my vault, and I had a song that I'd written about my folks several years ago called Mama and Daddy. And it's a true story, about that Mama was a God-fearing woman, and Daddy was a hell-raising man,
I love that song.
And so I knew we was going to come back with a new, updated, and better, bigger, better, and better version of this tune. It was a tribute to my parents, and it ended up being the lead single off of "Trying to Be a Blessing," and it's just taken off the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just doing great. And we went in with Dean Miller and producing, and we went to Omni Sound Studios in Nashville, Tennessee on March 4th and 5th, and we assembled the band in the studio, and it was half the guys from my band, the Dallas Moore Band, and half the guys were. It was like a murderer's row of my dream team of players. Had Steve Henson on pedal steel, and Gordon Moat on honky tonk piano, and B3 organ, and Mark Beckett on drums, and Janae Lehner. She's up for CMA Instrumentalist of the Year. She played the fiddle on a couple tracks, and we just put it all together. And it felt like we caught lightning in a bottle with this one. I've never had a really great experience in the studio. We've always kind of had to fight tooth and nail because we were always such a live band, to try to capture what we were about in the studio. We've always struggled with that. And on this one, we literally went in there on the first day and cut all of the music on the first day, and I came back and did all of the vocals on the second day, and the record was done. And we never had anything like that. Every song on the album was a first or second take, and we really went with minimal to no overdubs on anything, and just really try to capture the vibe of what the band, our players, assembled in that studio on that day. That's what we were, and we caught it, man. It's something else, and also Miss Tommy Ash, who's a great friend of mine. I met her through the Ameripolitan Music Awards. She's originally out of Phoenix, Arizona, and she lives in Nashville now, but she was kind enough to come and appear as a guest vocalist on a track. We did a new version of the Old Mill Streets, Loving on Back Streets, Living on Main. And Tommy Ash, she came in and she just nailed it, killed it, and so I'm looking forward to people getting to hear that too.
Yeah, Mama and Daddy is a great, great song. I mean, when I first listened to it, I'm like, man, you could just tell it's got a whole different vibe to it. And
this whole album's that way, man.
But it's still, and I mean, I know you got your own sound, but you sound very much like Red Dirt influenced. Like some of your chord progressions and everything else have that real Texas. Because Texas has got their own brand of country, but
right.
You've got a very Texas feel to your country.
Yeah,
and I mean that's high praise as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, we actually for the last several years now we've been splitting our time, living half in Southern Ohio, where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Northern Ohio, and right now me and my wife, Jenna Danielle Moore, and our daughter, Victory Lee Moore, we've got a little place that I call the Texas Ohio Ranch, and it's out here in the country in Blue Jay, right on the border of Indiana and Kentucky and Ohio, where they all come together. We're kind of out here in the sticks. And then we have a place for the last several years that has become what I call my natural second home, and that's the place down in University City, Texas. One of my best friends in the whole world has a guy named Big Mike Talley, and him and his wife Rachel, we just came like family with one another over the years, and we were trying to make our way down in Texas so much, and we were really struggling trying to get gigs because we wasn't from Texas.
Yeah.
So it was hard to get into the scene, and I was going broke, buying hotel rooms for the band and everything to go down there, because we got to where we was playing in Texas a couple weeks a month, and there, a good portion of the year, and a couple things, changed to where at my buddy's homestead that he calls the Honky Tonk Hacienda, his son, graduated and moved out and all, and he ended up having a whole section of his property that was, kind of sitting empty. And he said, "Hey, man, why don't y'all make this your home in Texas?" And so we kind of did, and that was several years ago now. So we've been based kind of out of Ohio and Texas the last several years, and I wrote a song about it called Texas Ohio that was on the last album, Mr. Honky Tonk, because the people in Texas and stuff started, saying, "Oh, hey, this is a Texas band," and I had to explain, well, we're really from Ohio, but now we are staying here about half of the time. And the people in Ohio were like, no, that's an Ohio band. And so everybody was kind of fighting over it. So I came up with Texas Ohio, and people say, "Well, where the hell is Texas Ohio?" And I said, "It's a state of mind, I reckon, man."
Yeah, seriously.
But the truth of it is, another song I wrote on the last time called "Home Is Where the Highway Is,"
Yep.
And that's more true than any of it, because we're on the road so much. Last year I played 337 nights.
Goodness.
All across the United States, from New York to LA and Texas to Tennessee. And this year is a little bit less, but still around the 300 is by the time we hit New Year's Eve, it's going to be that. So we're keeping the roads hot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've got a buddy of mine out of North Carolina, and the guy, he's a great singer songwriter. Nobody comes to his shows here. Now he goes to Texas and he can pack out any place he gets booked, and he made it on the Red Dirt Radio out there and everything else. And this is just a guy from North Carolina, but he can't get anybody to show up for a show here to save his life. And I mean,
Right.
and I'm like, man, do you guys not really appreciate what this guy's bringing? You know, you guys are we're going to lose him to Texas because you guys won't show some appreciation to somebody in your own backyard.
Right. Right. You know, it's tough. And it's different for everybody, you know, especially if you're doing it independent. Like we are. We don't have big sponsors or major record label or tour support or anything like that. It's, you know, it's write your songs and load up the van and go take the country to the people, and that's what it is, you know. And it ain't for everybody, you know. It'll eat your lunch for you, man. You know, if you don't take care of yourself mentally and physically, and you also still got to take care of, you know, your family back home, and there's a whole lot that goes into it. But and I always just call it, because I've always just done stuff, you know, on my own way and on my own terms and everything, and I just say I'm building my own house, you know, and that's one honky tonk at a time.
Well, how has
and it's turning out great, because now it's finally catching on.
How has becoming a father kind of changed things for you?
I'm sorry, I was breaking up. I missed that.
How has becoming a father kind of changed things for you?
Oh man, it's been the best thing in the world. My daughter is Victory Lee Moore, and she just turned 2 years old on June 14th. And
I know,
and she's just the best of the best. And you know, when like I was talking about the making of the Trying to Be a Blessing album here, I had both my parents passing away, but I also had a newborn, you know, baby girl during the whole making of this record, you know, and when I was doing the writing for it. And between my wife and my daughter and what was going on with my parents, and then also the stuff, you know, going out on the road and trying to build this thing, this definitely has become my most autobiographical record of what my personal life is like, really like. In fact, tomorrow, we just shot our first music video. It's for a song called Everything But You that I had written about Jenna and Victory. Okay. And, you know, the whole thing is, you know, it's like I'm, you know, out here on the road and everything's going great. And I got everything I worked hard all my life for. And I got everything but you. I got everything that I've ever wanted, but my wife and daughter, that is, you know. And they came to Nashville and filmed a video with me. And it's actually going to have an exclusive premiere from Billboard magazine tomorrow. So we're really, really excited about that. But the coolest thing of the video is that my wife and daughter were able to be part of it with me. And this thing is like a little 4-minute movie of what our life is really like, you know. So regardless of what it does for us, you know, musically or business-wise or anything like that, I'm going to have this little snippet of what our life is like right now for the rest of my life and you know, all of theirs. So it's something real special to me. So I'm excited for what's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that too. I will definitely check that out. And I know with I mean for touring and everything else, I know that's not easy on them either. And any time you can, you know, fold them into something that's where they're actually being able to share that part of your life with you instead of the, you know, having, because I know it's got to feel separated at some point where it's like, okay, you got two lives here. You've got your life on the road and you've got your life with us. But anytime you can fold them in, you're just like, everybody has a better appreciation for where everybody sits in that.
Yeah, definitely, you know. And before we had Victory, my wife was my tour manager, and she was doing all. She was the lead driver, and
oh wow,
and she was the one out there collecting the money with a pistol in her boot. You know, she was. I used to say she's the go when I'm the show, and she's still running our business, but she's doing it from home while taking care of our daughter. But there, as Victory gets a little older, we've always had her been able to come, here and there. But the older she gets, she's able to come to more shows and stuff like that. And if we're especially if it's a thing like here recently for my birthday bash, we played 3 nights at the Florida Alabama down in Perdita, Florida. So we were in the same spot, you know, and we weren't, you know, doing 15, 17, 18-hour drives, you know, in between. We were able to go down and land, and they were able to come down and join me for the whole weekend and be able to come out to some shows, and that's always the best of all. And as Victory gets older, we're going to be able to have more of that, and us be together, even out on the road sometimes. So I'm looking forward to all that too.
Now, does she love listening to Daddy sing to her?
I'm sorry.
Does your daughter love listening to Daddy sing to her?
Oh yeah. Well, she sings to all of us too.
That's awesome. Awesome.
She has a perfect sense of rhythm, man. Yeah. Her Uncle Lucky Chucky, who's been my guitar player for the last 23 years, he brought her a tambourine and a little egg shaker, and she thinks she's just playing. She has like perfect timing, and she likes to hear her dad sing, and her mama sings her to bed every night. And then now she's talking up a storm and singing and dancing, and now she'll sing every song to us. So she'll even strum on my guitar. I'll have to make the chords because she's too little to make the chords yet, but she'll go. I'll make the chords and she strums right along. She's got perfect rhythm, you know, and I think she's gonna be something. I'm not gonna, you know, push music or anything on her at all, but it's just natural in her. She's a singer and dancer, and she's going to be some kind of picker. I don't know what. She bangs around on the piano and you think she already knew how to play. It's pretty cool to watch.
That's what I love about, you know, my son is very musically inclined. So, and actually all of our kids are musically inclined. So, I mean, that's something you appreciate when it's like we'd gone. My son came up to see me for my birthday the other night, and he's like, he starts singing in the car. I mean, he's 21 years old. I haven't heard him actually start belting out anything. He starts singing Whiskey Myers like he was the lead man, you know, owning that stuff. And I'm like, boy, what happened to you? I said, he goes, well, I'll stop. I'm like, no. You're making your daddy proud. Keep on singing. You know, anytime, anybody, I encourage kids to get into music. Because, I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
Music changes everything. Music is the great equalizer. Music doesn't give a damn who you are, where you came from, anything. Music is the great equalizer. And, you know, I talk about that with everybody I ever interview because it seems like everybody loves music, but nobody wants to zone in on that part that music can actually make that difference. Unless you've been, unless that difference has affected you personally, which, you know, it's obviously, it affected you from a young age. It gave you that bug. And, you know, there's a difference between getting that bug and just being an inactive listener, I guess is where I'm going with that. But now, what is your songwriting? I know we don't have too much more time because you got to get to a gig tonight, but what is your process for songwriting?
Well, for the most, of course it varies to some degree, but for the general rule for me, and again, songwriting is different for everybody. There's cats in Nashville, Blue Million of them, that are able to set up an appointment somewhere with somebody they've never met and go in a little office and sit down and write a number one song, you know, and there always has been that, you know, and I'm horrible at that, you know. I do occasionally co-write, but usually it's with someone that's one of my songwriting heroes or friends, and it's never really been like we're sitting in the same room and working on something. It's more like they've got a line and they'd send it to me and I'd send a couple of the line and send it back, and you know, so some stuff like that, and occasionally we've had a little success with that. I wrote some stuff with my hero and champion and friend Billy Gantz that way, and that came out pretty good, and me and Billy are both still playing these songs. But for the general rule with me, I write 90% of my songs when I'm riding my Harley Davidson Road King, because it's the only time that I'm literally just totally free and I'm not getting involved in some conversation with anybody. and I'm just out on the open road, and my mind, you can just kind of wander, and I'll get the melody and the lyrics in my head. And if I figure by the time whenever my ride is over and I can get to the hotel or the house or wherever I'm going and get to a guitar, if I still remember all the words, then it might be worth remembering. and that can flesh out the music to it, and that's the way most of it happens for me. But like I say, it's very different for everybody, and I guess I'm lucky that that's the way it works for me. Plus, I always get that I'm never able to turn down a good ride, so
yeah,
I might just get a song with it as well. You know?
There you go. And I mean, probably one of the best little lyric clips ever is "Raising Hell and Slinging Gravel." I mean, come on, man! If that's not a life mantra, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love your stuff. I'm really looking forward to this video tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the new album. I'm not going to keep you because I know, you've got to get out there. You've got a, show tonight and everything. Man, just keep on doing what you're doing, man. It's amazing. And
well, I appreciate you having me on. And for all your listeners out there, if you ever want to look up Old Dallas, find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dallas Moore or Dallas Moore Band. And I run all my own social media. So if you hit me up on there, you're talking directly to me, not anybody else. So that's cool. And you follow me, and I'll follow y'all back. And all of our tour dates and our music is available at DallasMoore.com.
Well, and they can get some merch too.
Yeah, they got merch in the Dallas Moore store. Actually, the pre-order for the new album is up right now. If they can pre-order vinyl or CDs as well as T-shirts at DallasMoore.com, and then if you get it to them digitally, it's up at iTunes right now.
Awesome. Well, Dallas, I appreciate your time tonight, sir. And
I appreciate
man,
it.
I'm glad we could make this happen.
Down in your neck of the woods and do some kicking and picking for too long.
Hey, man, let's do it.
We'll raise hell and sling gravel.
Let's do it. First whiskey's on me, brother. Listen, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you. Thank you so much, folks. Keep on listening. Talk to you next time.
He had a Bible in the kitchen. He had a bottle in his hand. Brother, it's a fact. Opposites attract. See them walking hand in hand. Mama was a God-fearing woman. Daddy was a hell-raising man. Mama went to church every Sunday just to listen what the preacher had to say. Daddy hit the honky-tonk every single night. The fishing hole every other day. People didn't know what to make of it.